Hey guys, so this video has been about 4 years in the making. So right now it's Suicide Awareness Month and Prevention Month. And every year at this time, I want to talk about my story and a little bit about what it's been like for me to deal with suicidal ideation and even get to the point where I had a plan for suicide. You know, every year I've kind of put this off for one reason or another. And a big part of that was some of my anxiety and fear of, putting it out there about kind of the things I've been through and the things I even sometimes still deal with. Because it's hard to admit publicly that you struggle with suicidal thoughts or admitting that you want to die, and like right now I'm in a good place and I've been in a good place for a while with that stuff, but I don't know, it's scary to talk about and it's scary to admit sometimes. And so it's kind of kept me from making this video for the past 4 years. But I think I'm finally at a point where I want to put it out there. It's been a long journey for me when it comes to my mental health and dealing with depression and a lot of other things that I want to get into right now. So 4 years ago when I was 27, I wrote a letter to myself. It was kind of the 10-year anniversary of me deciding that I didn't want to die anymore and that I wanted to keep living. So I wrote this letter thinking about kind of where I was at that time and addressing a lot of the thoughts that were going through my head and a lot of the reasons why I wanted to die. And as amazing and awesome as it is to say that I got through that first major battle with depression, it's been a really long journey since then. At the time, I had no idea it was just the beginning of what seems like it'll be a lifelong struggle with depression and having these thoughts in the back of my mind that maybe the world would be better without me. Yeah, so I think back to how hopeless I felt then and how lost I felt then and just how dark things were then. And I think about the things that I'd want to tell that 17-year-old version of myself. So I'm gonna just read to you that letter that I wrote a couple years ago to my 17-year-old self. I've added a couple points since then, kind of as some big milestones happened. But so here it goes. So if you decide to keep living, you're going to start having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. You'll go through a heavy depressive episode at least once a year. There'll be times where you struggle with self-harm. You'll still have days where you feel worthless. If you keep living, there will be people that you hurt. You'll still have sleepless nights with heartache, nightmares, and tears. You'll fall in love and still feel lonely. Your heart will be broken and torn. You'll numb yourself to feeling anything because life seems easier that way. If you keep living, there will be a time where it seems like alcohol is the only way to make it through a night. You'll learn to fake emotions and expressions so you feel you can be around people without them seeing the real you. You won't be able to look at yourself in a mirror without your hopelessness surfacing and begin to cry. If you keep living, there'll be many times where you still think maybe death would be better than living another day. Life stays hard, and I can't say it ever won't be. But do not die. If you decide to live, it'll be worth the fight. You'll find you have a lot to offer this world. You won't realize what that is exactly for another 3 years, but you'll figure it out. You'll find reason to seek help. You'll find a reason to try getting better. You'll learn techniques to make it through the day. You'll learn to have a good day at work through the anxiety. You'll learn to beat the anxiety attacks. You'll learn how to keep going when you feel depressed. You'll learn that you can fight the urges to hurt yourself. If you decide to live, life stays hard. You'll still hurt, you'll still break down sometimes for seemingly no reason. You'll still sometimes feel like death would be better than life. But it gets better and life becomes worth it. You'll dance on stages and teach others how to as well. You'll find your voice and sing your heart out. You'll work with kids and impact their futures. You'll accomplish the dreams you thought impossible. There'll be a kid with special needs that you coach, and their mom will tell you with tears in her eyes that you are the first person to ever treat her daughter like she's just any other kid and make her smile. You'll help more than one person fight their self-harm battles. You'll help at least one person not feel alone through their darkest time. One of your best friends will ask you to be the godfather of more than one of her kids. Close friends will ask that if they die someday, you be second in line in their will to take care of their baby girl. Someone you mentor will call you their big brother. Someone will ask you to be their confirmation sponsor. For someone, you'll be the first person that understood their struggle with depression and helped. And though you'll think about dropping out every semester of school, someday you'll get your master's degree and become a licensed counselor. You will be a voice for the silent and broken, a light in someone's darkness. Contrary to everything you believe now, if you decide to live, the world will be better with you in it. You'll get out of bed easier because you know that if you do, you can impact someone's life for the better. You'll go to bed at night and be able to say that at least you made someone smile. You'll look back on your day and at least say you tried. One day you'll be able to look in the mirror, look yourself in the eye and smile, and it'll be real. You'll still struggle, but it'll be worth it. Despite all the darkness in the world, there is light, and light is what you will become. So live. So yeah, I know that was short and simple, but right now sitting here on the same floor that I used to pray to God that He would just let me die. And to sit here now looking back on all that and seeing everything that I've been able to do and all the things that I've overcome. It's been a long journey, but I'm still here and I'm still going. And life's so hard sometimes, and there's still days where I struggle with depressive thoughts, and there's still days where I think that life might not be worth all this pain, but there's so many moments that I realize that that's a lie. That it's good for me to be alive. And I wrote a post to Facebook a couple weeks ago talking about this a little bit, and yeah, I guess I just want to read that to you now too. So a little over 10 years ago, I made a plan with a timeline of my life. I had a mental picture of the man I'd see in a mirror by the end of it. He was in his 30s, dressed well, and seemed accomplished. His eyes were hard with a tinge of sadness behind them. He reached goals he set as a young man, but the journey exhausted him. The hardness and sadness in his eyes were because of how many times he broke getting to where he wanted to be. But at the same time, the hardness was strength, and the look of sadness was emotion from realizing how far he'd come. There have been many tough times, days, weeks, months, and years in full survival mode. It's easy to dwell on those times and think about how sad my life has been. But since my sophomore year of college, I've gone from dropping all of my classes due to my mental health to getting my master's degree in counseling and obtaining my LPC and a job as a counselor. I've gone from wondering if my students would miss me if I was gone to knowing I impacted their lives for the better. I've gone from knowing it didn't matter to knowing I do. It's still hard for me to say I matter because it conflicts with years of negative self-talk, but I can say it now. I matter. I write all of this to remind myself and remind you that though things may be dark and impossible at times, you can choose to press on. And if you choose to press on, you may just surprise yourself. The call of death is often a sweet song, but the music found in living has begun to drown it out. What you want out of life may not come for months or even 10 years from now, but it can and will come if you press on. Living with mental illness at times, it'll feel like you're going through hell. You want to end all the pain, but press on. It'll be worth it. Dare to dream in those dark times and fight like hell to make those dreams reality. So I often think back to that image I had when I was like 20 something about who I thought I could possibly be by the time I was 30 something if I kept living. And I was getting ready for my first day on the job as a counselor, and as I was getting ready, I was about to leave, and I looked in the mirror and I saw that image that I had in my mind over 10 years ago now. And yeah, I saw him smile at me. Originally, the 10-year plan I made, it had a contingency in there that if things didn't work out, that I would kill myself. And I'm still here. So I just want to encourage any of you that struggle with the same thoughts, with thoughts of not feeling like life is worth it, like feeling there's no way out and it's never going to get better. You know, it stays hard, and it can stay hard for a really long time. But if you keep pushing, there's hope out there, and there's light for you, and you can be a light in this world too. So if you're struggling, seek help, whether it be a counselor or just starting with opening up to somebody. So if you have no one you feel like you could open up to, like in person or on the phone, there's a lot of help out there. Like I know there's a couple of boards on Reddit that people go to connect with others that understand what it's like to feel suicidal and what it's like to be at such a low point that death sounds better than life. Something we say in counseling a lot is that suicide often isn't necessarily because we want to die, but it seems like the only way to make the pain stop. And I get that. That's what it does feel like. It feels like there's no other way out but to die. But I just want to encourage you to not believe that lie. Dying isn't the best option. It's not the only option. It could take a lot of time, it could take a lot of work, but there's hope for you, and things could get worse before they get better, but they can get better. And yeah, stay alive. It can be worth it. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. Thanks for watching, and feel free to reach out to me if you feel you don't have anyone to talk to. I'm always happy to talk. I'm a night owl, so I'm up super late all the time, whatever time zone you're in. So yeah, I'm happy to talk to you if you feel you can't reach out to anyone else, and we can figure out how to do this thing together. All right, love you guys. Bye.